सहनावतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति। ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने देहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ॐ पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्दधामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणी। यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्ररुद्रमरुतः स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैः गायन्ति यं सामगाः। ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनः यस्यान्तन्न विदुः सुरासुरगणाः। देवाय तस्मै नमः। Let's chant these verses. अमानित्वमदम्भित्वम्
अमानित्वमदम्भित्वम्
अहिंसा क्षान्तिरार्जवम्
अहिंसा क्षान्तिरार्जवम्
आचार्योपासनं शौचम्
आचार्योपासनं शौचम्
स्थैर्यमात्मविनिग्रहः
स्थैर्यमात्मविनिग्रहः
इन्द्रियार्थेषु वैराग्यम्
इन्द्रियार्थेषु वैराग्यम्
अनहङ्कार एव च
अनहङ्कार एव च
जन्म मृत्युजरा व्याधि
जन्म मृत्युजरा व्याधि
दुःखदोषानुदर्शनम्
दुःखदोषानुदर्शनम्
असक्तिरनभिष्वङ्गः
असक्तिरनभिष्वङ्गः
पुत्रदारगृहादिषु
पुत्रदारगृहादिषु
नित्यं च समचित्तत्वम्
नित्यं च समचित्तत्वम्
इष्टानिष्टोपपत्तिषु
इष्टानिष्टोपपत्तिषु
मयि चानन्ययोगेन
मयि चानन्ययोगेन
भक्तिरव्यभिचारिणी
भक्तिरव्यभिचारिणी
विविक्तदेशसेवित्वम्
विविक्तदेशसेवित्वम्
हरतिर्जनसंसदि
हरतिर्जनसंसदि
अध्यात्मज्ञाननित्यत्वम्
अध्यात्मज्ञाननित्यत्वम्
तत्त्वज्ञानार्थदर्शनम्
तत्त्वज्ञानार्थदर्शनम्
एतज्ज्ञानमिति प्रोक्तम्
एतज्ज्ञानमिति प्रोक्तम्
अज्ञानं यदतोऽन्यथा
अज्ञानं यदतोऽन्यथा
अमानित्वम् अदम्भित्वम् ahimsa. Yes, last night the last value we discussed was ahimsa, non-violence. We said that we can hurt somebody by our actions at three levels. Action at the level of body, action at the level of speech, action at the level of mind. We perform actions at three levels. By any of these actions, we can hurt somebody. And we can cause harm to somebody at two levels, at the physical level or at the emotional level. This we discussed last night, how we should be as alert and careful as possible to see that we do not cause physical harm to any living being. In that context, we also discussed the value of vegetarianism, you may say, as to how eating meat involves much greater violence than eating vegetarian food. Briefly, so that is non-violence at the level of the body. We would admit that it is not possible to be completely non-violent at the physical level, because for us to survive, it happens that we do cause violence to nature, because for survival we need to eat food. And plants, vegetables, grains also have a life, and to that extent we do cause violence. In our day-to-day life also, even ancient times also, when the life was very simple, then also 5 kinds of violence that occur in our daily routine were recognized by the sages. Kandani, Peshani, Chulli, Udukumbhi, Chamarjani. When you pound, when you grind, when you cook, when you fill water, and when you sweep, when you grind, it's likely that some insects are killed. When you pound, when you grind, then also, when you cook, then also, when you sweep, then also. So unavoidable violence. However careful you are, still some violence may be caused. What should we do? So the sages suggested prayaschitta, act of atonement. And there were, for every householder, these 5 kinds of yajna or sacrifice offerings were prescribed. 5 kinds of sins take place because of violence, and there were 5 kinds of yajnas were prescribed. Offering or worship of devatas or gods, worship to parents and ancestors, worship to the rishis or the sages, offering to other human beings, and offering to the animals and plants and creatures around us. So this offering is called yajna. Yajna means sacrifice or self-offering. So these offerings in a way compensate for the violence that we inadvertently carry out in our day-to-day life. Today, our life has become so complex and our demands are so many that more we consume, more violence we cause. More we consume, somewhere violence will be caused. More clothes you wear, somewhere clothes are going to be made, more cotton will be plucked. And whatever processes go on, their consumption of energy, and that indirectly violence is caused. So more we consume, more violence we cause. Therefore, to be a non-violent person, we should reduce our consumption as much as possible, should live as simple a life as possible. This is the minimizing violence at the physical level. At other two levels, we can eliminate violence. Violence that we cause by our words. Lord Krishna says, Anudvaikaram vakyam satyam prihitam chayat. When you speak, make sure that you do not perturb somebody, do not hurt somebody's feelings. Satyam, when you speak, make sure that what you speak is truthful. And truth also must be spoken in a pleasant manner, and should be spoken only when necessary. So, thus, by being careful at the level of speech, we can make sure that we do not hurt anybody's feelings. Even when you have to tell the truth, the scriptures prescribe that the truth also must be uttered in a pleasant manner, so that you do not hurt somebody's feelings. Words are very powerful tools, and lots of hurt takes place because of words, because of speech. And therefore, being alert or careful about speech is very, very important. And thirdly, we can also cause hurt by our thoughts, by deliberately entertaining hurtful thoughts. Sometimes we do that. Out of anger, out of resentment, out of hatred, out of jealousy, we find ourselves deliberately thinking in a manner which will be hurtful to the other person. So we can cause violence by our thoughts also. Thus remaining aware or alert about our thoughts and making sure that we do not fall in the trend of anger or jealousy. When these thoughts of anger or jealousy etc. arise, we should eliminate them by Pratipakshabhana, which we will soon discuss. Thus, non-violence, as we say, is the most fundamental value. Ahimsa. Continuing, in the first verse, first line, next value is Kshanti, forgiveness. Call it forbearance or call it forgiveness. Our Puja Swamiji prefers to translate this word as accommodation. Forgiving others has some negative connotation, as though we are obliging others by forgiving them. Very often this value of Kshanti, Kshama or forbearance is not well understood. We think that we are forgiving others when we do not react, when we do not express our feelings, when we swallow our bitter feelings and do not express them outwardly, we think that that is forgiving. But no, ideally that is called Kshama when even our mind is not disturbed, even though there is a reason to retaliate, even though somebody has acted or behaved in a manner which is hurtful to me. And therefore, there is a justification on my part to retaliate. Still I do not retaliate. Even though there is reason to retaliate, and I am capable of retaliating, even then I do not retaliate. in my mind no negative thoughts of hatred or anger or resentment arise, that I am able to maintain equanimity of my mind, cheerfulness of my mind. Understand, Kshama means the ability to maintain a mind free from any reactions. When there is reason for reaction, when somebody is acted in a manner which can justify my reaction, then also I do not react. When would it be possible? When I am large-hearted enough to accommodate that person. And we do that in some cases. For example, our child. When the child misbehaves, sometimes children come and assault parents, little ones. I remember a small little child, maybe 3-year-old or 4-year-old, just came and slapped his grandfather, just like that, So then something must be there in that child, I don't know what. Grandfather would not slap him back. He smiled. Understand that this is a child. What do you expect from him? This is called accommodation. How you generously, with large-heartedness, accommodate that behavior. Understandable. That this is understandable behavior. If you extend this thing to even elders also, there is a child in everybody. So whenever anybody acts out of anger or jealousy or resentment, it is really an immature behavior. It is not that mature or grown-up person behaving. It is an immature person behaving. If you can thus create a distance, a two-step approach. A first-step approach is, you hurt me, I hurt you back. A two-step approach is, you hurt me, and I stand back and I, in my mind, analyze the cause as to why you are behaving like this. I realize that there is anger in you, there is pain in you. A person hurts somebody only when the person himself or herself is in pain. If you look at our own behavior, we find that when do we hurt somebody? When do we get angry? When are we jealous? When are we resentful? When there is pain in ourselves. So generally speaking, all hurtful behavior originates from a hurt which a person is entertaining. So there are hurts. People have a lot of wounds. We may not have caused the wound, somebody may have caused the wound, but people have those things. And those wounds, those hurts, that inner pain is the cause for a person acting out of anger or resentment or jealousy. It is inner pain that is responsible for a hurtful behavior. This will become evident to us when we observe our own behavior. When we get angry, then if you analyze, if you investigate our own mind, we'll find that our anger is due to some hurt or pain within ourselves. You see, when you're happy, it is not possible that a happy person can hurt anybody. When you're happy, you will not do something that will be hurtful. You do something that will be helpful. It's when you're unhappy, when you're in pain, not knowing how to deal with that pain comes out in a hurtful behavior. Thus, if you analyze the person behind the behavior in a two-step approach, first, a single step would be to retaliate. The two-step approach would be to analyze what causes this behavior, this hurtful behavior. we'll see that there is a hurt person there, a person in pain who is behaving in this manner. We see that, then sympathy will be invoked from us. Meaning, we do not react to the behavior, but we respond to the person behind the behavior. That person is in pain. When we see that in our mind, then there arises a sympathy in us. That sympathy will invoke our compassion. And this is when true kshama or true forgiveness happens. True forgiveness is out of compassion, out of sympathy, out of compassion, out of large-heartedness, which comes because of the understanding. And this kshama, this forgiveness or forbearance or accommodation is most necessary because we relate to the world. In every relationship, this kshama or forgiveness or forbearance is important. Because when we relate to a person, it is likely that there are some elements in that person which I do not approve of. It is not possible that we like a person in every way, everything about the person we may not like. There are likely that there are some aspects of the person which we do not approve of or which we dislike. And similarly, there are likely to be aspects in ourselves also which others would not like. So, if I react to something that I dislike, then that relationship is going to be strained. Therefore, to enjoy a harmonious relationship, it is important that we are large-hearted enough to accommodate the shortcomings and defects of other people. Call them defects, call them shortcomings, call them blemishes, call them limitations. To accommodate them is very important in order that there is harmony in our relationship. And this happens when we reduce our expectations. When we expect a person to be such and such, it is likely that I am hurt when my expectation is not met with. Therefore, this value of accommodation or kshama requires that we minimize our expectations from other people. That means we accept the other person as the person is. We get the whole package. When you have rose, the thorns come along with it. You can't avoid them. When young married couple comes to us seeking blessing, I tell them, look, a person comes as a whole package with all the baggage he or she comes. When you live together, then you will recognize what all that baggage is, slowly and slowly. When you have friends, generally speaking, you always maintain a facade, and therefore you don't always expose yourself totally. But when you live together, then there is no choice. That is fine, that's going to happen. Therefore, be large-hearted, be generous, and be ready to accept the person as the person is. Understand that person has no choice in being what they are. That's how they are. A dog is what a dog is. A cat is what a cat is. A mouse is what a mouse is. And you are what you are. And I am what I am. Of course, the dog and cat cannot change. And we have the possibility to change, no doubt. And usually, we always expect that other people should change themselves to suit me. This is what our expectation is. Unfortunately, other person expects me to change so that I suit them. And usually there is a conflict. So as best as possible, minimize expectation and accept the other person as the person is, with the shortcomings, with the limitations, with their defects. Don't demand change, try to help. If you can bring about, if you can help other person change, try that. But it's not always possible that other people change, but they may not want to change. Or they may not be able to change. Just as when somebody expects me to change, I don't always oblige, so why should I change? And sometimes, even when I want to change, I may not be able to change. That being the case, best is to accept the person as the person is, with compassion towards their limitations and shortcomings. Our Swami says, look, we extend this to many people and many things. A mosquito, for example. You accept a mosquito as the mosquito is. Mosquito bites, you know that that's what a mosquito does. You don't hate the mosquito. A dog barks at you, you know what else do you expect from a dog? You don't hate the dog. You don't bark back. If an absolutely stupid person also behaves in a very stupid manner, you know that that is what a person is. You accommodate that, accept that. Thus, in our day-to-day life, we do accept many people and many things, many living beings also as they are. When we do not demand change from them, we are able to relate to them and adjust ourselves accordingly. So you know what to do for a mosquito, and what to do for a cat, and what to do for a dog, and what to do for a stupid fellow. In India there are mad people, on the street corners. When you're walking, sometimes he laughs at you, sometimes he starts shouting at you. You know he's a mad person, what do you expect? And so you don't react. Because you accept the person as the person is. So it is our experience that when we accept people or other creatures as they are, like the sun is hot sun, what do you You don't hate the sun. You know that that's the nature of sun. It's extremely cold. You know that is the nature that's the nature. You accept it. Then you're not disturbed, you're not perturbed, you do not react, you do what is necessary to do. So when we extend that benefit, but unfortunately that benefit we do not give to our close friend or somebody close to us. You will find that people who hurt us the most are the people who are closest to us. Most hurt comes from those who are close to me. You know why? Because closer a person is, more the expectations are. For a spouse, lots of expectations. From a friend, lots of expectations. From a relative, closer they are, more the expectations are. And therefore, the possibility of our expectation not being satisfied. Therefore, the possibility of being hurt and reacting. Therefore, the benefit that we give to a mad person, the benefit that we give to a mosquito, the benefit that we give to heat and cold, if that benefit we extend to our friend or somebody closely related to us, life would be so wonderful. That is kshama, that is accommodation. A very, very important value in our relationship. ahimsa and kshama, non-violence and forgiveness are extremely important values in our relating to others. Non-violence means that I make all the attempts not to hurt the other person. When we say that, sometimes people say, Swamiji, I do not hurt others, but others hurt me. Then, what do? Kshama. That you forgive them when you accommodate them. You cheerfully accept them as they are. Our value is not to hurt others, and when somebody hurts me, not to react. Such that your reaction does not arise in my mind. Ideally, in the beginning, what will in the mind I react, and outwardly I do not express that. But ideally, reaction does not arise in my mind because I am large-hearted, because I am accommodative. Our Swami says that these two qualities, ahimsa and kshanti, non-violence and forgiveness, these are saintly qualities. These two make a person a saint. Whether he has Brahma Vidya or not, he's not, these two qualities make him a saint. In saintly persons we see these qualities. There are many stories of kshama. How patiently you accept the other person and how you can even transform by doing that. Once Mahatma Gandhi was traveling in a train. He used to travel only in common class, cattle class, third class. The train would be crowded, many people would be seated in his berth, in the opposite berth. And Gandhiji found that there was an illiterate villager sitting right across him. That fellow was suffering from cold. And so, when this putam would come in his mouth, he would just spit right on the floor of the train. Gandhi saw this. He was reading newspaper. He tore out a piece of newspaper, cleaned that floor, threw away. Then the fellow saw this and he got more angry. He said, who are you to do this? He did it again, spit again, spat again. Without a reaction, Gandhiji took another piece of newspaper, cleaned it, threw away. And this happened a number of times. Finally, this Gorakhpur station came, where Gandhiji had to get down. The train was, that was the terminal. Everybody got down there. And when the villagers saw that hundreds of people were there to receive Gandhi with garland, he realized how great this man was and how he has mistreated him. He fell at his feet, said, I am very sorry for what I have done. Please forgive me. Gandhi says, if you really are sorry, then take a vow that from now on you will never make any environment dirty, and if somebody makes it dirty, you will clean it. How by this compassionate behavior, Gandhiji could transform that person. So compassion, non-violence and compassion. So Gautam Buddha, Lord Buddha taught compassion. And Lord Mahavira of Jain taught ahimsa. Ahimsa, everybody teaches ahimsa, but the emphasis of ahimsa, the Jains, they emphasize ahimsa, the Buddhas emphasize compassion. Of compassion requires ahimsa, ahimsa requires compassion, but ahimsa, shanti. Then we proceed further, arjavam. What is arjavam? Straightforwardness. There is Sanskrit word ruju. Ruju means straight. So rujuta or arjavam, straightforwardness. You can call it honesty. You can call it transparency. Arjavam, rujuta, straightforwardness. An alignment between the thought, the word and the deed. Manasyekam, vachasyekam, karmanyekam, mahatmana. There is a Sanskrit verse which says how the Mahatmas, the great people, how are they? Manasyekam, what is there in the mind? Vachasyekam, that is in the word. Karmanyekam, that is in the deed. When there is an alignment between the thought and the word and the deed, that is called arjavam, rujuta, straightforwardness. When it is not there, when that honesty is not there, when that straightforward is not there, when the truthfulness is not there, we are hurt. Understand that by practicing each value, the one to benefit is our own self, and by violating the value, one to be hurt is ourselves. Therefore, when I am not an honest person, when I am not a straightforward person, when I am not a truthful person, not a so arja means freedom from angularity, freedom from the tendency to cheat, freedom from the tendency to pretend, so angularity, cheating, fraud, mind, free from this is a straightforward mind. What is inside and what is outside. Arjuna was a straightforward person. Arjuna is the name of a tree also. It is a straightforward tree. So what Arjuna was explained is Rujutvat Arjuna. One explanation. Arjuna was so called because he was straightforward, honest. And that's the reason why a time came when he became fit for the teaching of Bhagavad Gita. When we are not straightforward, meaning that we say something else and do something else, or think something else and say something else and do something else, what does it do to us? It creates a split within our own self. See, there is a doer, there is a speaker, and there is a thinker. At the level of thought, I am thinker. At the level of speech, I am speaker. At the level of action, I am actor or doer. Doer, speaker, thinker. Understand that it's all I only. I am the doer, I am the speaker, I am the thinker. Therefore, if doing, speaking and thinking, all of them are in alignment, then I enjoy that I which is together as a person. You follow? On the other hand, I do something else, I do one thing and say something else, or I say one thing and do something else, then the doer and the speaker are different from each other, meaning there is a split between a doer and speaker. And I think one way and speak another way, then again there is a split between the thinker and speaker. So when that alignment is not there, in the thought, in the word and the deed, then there is a split, what we call split personality. Then I create a conflict within my own self, because when I am saying something that is not right, I am thinking one way and saying in a different way. And thinker knows inside that what I am saying is not right, he tells me. And still if I say something wrong, then the thinker and speaker, there is a split between the two. Sometimes children, are very honest. So once some parents were talking to me, and their child also was there, and mother was saying something to me, and all of a sudden the child said, "Mom, you are lying." So mother always wants to say rosy things, which may not be the fact. The child knows right away, "Mom, you are lying." But the mind says, when I am lying, my mind, the thinker says, "Hey, you are lying." And thus we create a conflict within our own self. A split within ourselves, a conflict within ourselves. And when the mind is in conflict, it cannot enjoy peace. It cannot enjoy tranquility. And the mind which is in conflict is an unhappy mind. Also what happens is, because of split between the thinker and the doer, when I set the alarm clock at night, I set the alarm clock for 5 o'clock in the morning. So thinker says, I will wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning. But at 5 o'clock in the morning, when the alarm rings, the doer says, I don't want to wake up at 5 o'clock. I want 1 more hour of sleep. It's too cold outside. The thinker says, hey, come on, get up. Do your meditation, do your yoga. The doer says, no. He pulls over this comforter, 1 more hour of sleep. So thus, when there is split between the thinker and doer, the thinker thinks one way, the doer thinks another way. There is no alignment, there is no integrity, there is not togetherness, there is a scattered personality, a scattered or mind in conflict. Therefore, this arjavam, straightforwardness or honesty or transparency is a very important value. We can also translate that as speaking truth. Arjavam, one of the aspects of arjavam is truthfulness. And therefore, a vow of speaking truth. Satyam bruyat, priyam bruyat, na bruyat, satyam priyam. A Sanskrit word says, Satyam bruyat, may one speak truth. Priyam bruyat, when you speak the truth, speak that in a pleasant manner. Na bruyat, satyam priyam. If the truth is unpleasant, you may not speak that. But if it is pleasant, just because it is pleasant, don't speak untruth. And so, priyam api anutam na bruyat. Just because it is pleasant or it is, doesn't mean that you should tell a lie. So speak truth and speak it in a pleasant manner. You see, the reason we all love truth, really, because truth is our nature. We love non-violence because that's our nature. We love compassion, that's our nature. So ideally we should be non-violent, compassion, truthful people, that's our nature. Then why do we sometimes tell lies? Why are we sometimes violent? Why are we sometimes hurtful? That is because we say these impulses or negative tendencies of kama, krodha, lobha, lust, anger, greed, jealousy, these negative tendencies or impulses are there in our mind, and whenever the mind is under control of anger or greed, it is violent, it is hurtful. Therefore, in order to be non-violent, in order to be compassionate, in order to be truthful, we have to work upon those impulses. Very often, it is greed that makes me dishonest. I gave you on the first day the example of my passing through the customs. That's the only example I know, because of my experience. And how the conflict arises? On one hand is the requirement of paying 50,000 rupees as customs duty. On the other hand, just telling one lie that I have nothing to declare and I can just walk away and I can save 50,000 rupees by just telling one small lie. So, the honest in me says, Swami, tell the truth. The greedy in me says, Swami, don't tell the truth. They are not going to give you any great reward for telling the truth. And never, you're going to lose 50,000 rupees. So just tell, doesn't matter. Just walk out. Conflict between the greedy I and the honest I. In order to be honest, I have to keep under check my impulse of greed. Similarly, the angry eye says, hurt him, give him a slap. Who says? The angry eye. Tell him, let him know what you think. So, the anger in me wants me to be hurtful. So whenever I submit myself to anger, I become a violent person. Therefore, in order to be non-violent, it is important that I have to keep under control my impulse of anger. So these impulses of anger, of greed, of jealousy, they are the impulses which in fact compel me to violate the values. Otherwise, if given the right conditions, none of us would tell lies. We don't like to tell lies. A person tells lies out of pressure, out of compulsion, not out of will. Swamiji, this fellow is a professional liar. He doesn't hesitate at all. This fellow is a professional killer. He does not hesitate. How do you say that person is non-violent by nature? How do you say that even a conflict is created? When he kills somebody, the professional killer, the hitman, he gets rewarded when he hits somebody, and nothing happens in his mind. In cold blood he murders. And so why do you say that a conflict is created? No conflict is created in his mind. There are some people who tell lies without any conflict. Now if no conflict is created when I tell a lie, or no conflict is created when I hurt somebody, is it a desirable situation? No guilt is created. Is it desirable? You remember the first day I said that when a cat kills a mouse, no guilt is created. Because cat does not have the sensitivity. Cat knows that I don't want to be killed, but does not know that mouse doesn't want to be killed. God has not given that sensitivity. They are not evolved to be that sensitive creatures. So when a human being also does not feel guilt, having violated value also, when a person does not feel guilt, you know what it means? It means that he has devolved to the level of a cat. It has taken millions of years to evolve from a cat to a human being, from that level to a human level. By constantly violating values, by constantly suppressing my inner conscience, because conscience always says what is right. For doing something wrong, I must keep on suppressing my conscience. By repeatedly suppressing the conscience, I become an insensitive person like a cat, which means that next birth I'll be a cat. What it means is that we have lost the advantage of evolution. It's not a desirable situation that no guilt is created. Guilt is a desirable thing. Guilt is what enables me to correct myself. So guilt is a gift given to us, that whenever we do something that we know is wrong, a guilt is created that gives you an opportunity to correct myself. Therefore, to be able to practice non-violence, to be able to practice kshama or forgiveness, to be able to practice arjam, straightforwardness or being honest, it is most necessary that I should keep under check my impulses of kama, lust, krodha, anger, lobha, greed. The lust, anger, greed, jealousy, all these tendencies or impulses have to be kept under check. In the beginning, the greed arises, I keep under check. Anger arises, I do not allow you to express it. That also is good. Ideally, anger should not arise. But in the beginning, anger arises. And I deliberately keep under check the impulse of anger and not allow the anger to express itself in words or action. The impulse of greed is there, but I do not allow that greed to control me. The lust is there, I do not allow lust to control me. Lord Krishna says, this person is a yogi. In the 5th chapter of the Gita it is said, Shaknoti hevaya sodum prak sharira vimokshanat kama krodha dhamam vegam sayukta sasukhi naraha. A person who keeps under check the impulse of lust or anger or greed, keeps under check, is a yogi yukta and he is a happy person. So first step is to keep under check. By long practice, a time will come when those impulses will not arise. Then this is called victory, that you have conquered your impulses, you have conquered your mind. So these values are meant to help us conquer our own mind or making our mind our own friend. Bhagavad Gita says that our mind can be our friend, our mind can be our enemy. A mind that is controlled by anger or greed or lust or jealousy, that mind is our enemy. So we do not need an external enemy, our mind itself is enough to our enemy. On the other hand, the mind that is free from these impulses is our friend. To make our mind a friend is a great sadhana, and the purpose of these values is to enable us to do that. So amanitvam, adambhitvam, ahimsa, kshanti, arjavam. The next line says acharya upasanam. Acharya upasanam. Worship of the teacher. Service is service of the teacher. Upasana means meditation really. Acharya upasanam, literally translated, would mean meditation on teacher. It means tuning up with the teacher. It means aligning with the teacher. Because understand that Lord Krishna is prescribing these values in the context of knowledge, pursuit of knowledge. So what is the process of pursuing the knowledge? Shravanam, listening to the unfoldment of scriptures from the teacher. Sitting at the feet of the teacher and listening to teacher. That is called Shravanam. but the listening becomes effective only when a certain relationship is established between the teacher and the student. When the student or the disciple is tuned up to the teacher, when the student possesses what we call Shraddha, trust in the teacher, Bhakti, he has devotion to the teacher, Sharanagati, surrender to the teacher. Ideally, when the disciple is surrendered to the teacher, has devotion for the teacher, has faith or trust in the teacher, Shraddha, Bhakti, Sharanagati. If a student enjoys these qualities, then he is an ideal student. It's called Shishya. And that is when he is tuned up to the teacher. So what the teacher says is absorbed by him like a sponge absorbs water. Similarly, the mind of the student absorbs the teaching right away when the right state or condition of mind exists in the student. The teacher, on his or her part, is a compassionate, caring person. The teacher wants the best for the student. The teacher should have patience. Teacher should have care and concern. And teacher should have compassion towards the student. Because sometimes you find that people are not as attentive as they should be. They don't understand as quickly as you expect them to. They do not respond as quickly as you want them to. Patience is required. Accommodation is required. Compassion is required on the part of the teacher. On the part of the student, devotion, faith, surrender are required. When this is there is an ideal relationship. Then the teaching becomes most effective. So here, Acharya Upasanam, meditation on teacher or service to the teacher. Surrender to the teacher, service of the teacher. This is saying in context of the Vedic times when the students lived with the teacher. In those days, it was necessary for an aspirant to go to the teacher and live with the teacher. Because teachers lived in remote areas and it was necessary that, so Gurukulam. Gurukulam means the home of the teacher. The disciple goes there and makes it his home, lives there for X number, about 12 years. And during that time, what is the duty of the disciple? Serving the teacher. Why serving the teacher? What does service do? Service creates a bond, an alignment. When you serve a person, when can you know? All the ladies know what is meant by serving a person. I don't know whether men know it as well or not. But to serve somebody, it is generally necessary to let go our own likes and dislikes and to tune up with the likes and dislikes of the person whom you are serving. So when a wife cooks, I would think that should cook what the husband likes. The vegetable that he likes, the preparation that he likes. She may or may not like it. It's possible. She lets go of her likes and dislikes in order to satisfy the likes and dislikes of the one she serves. If this is done both ways, husband also does it, and why that would be wonderful. So let us say, this is an example. But here, a disciple serves a teacher. Meaning that he sets aside his own likes and dislikes and identifies with the likes and dislikes of a teacher. Does what the teacher likes and avoids doing what the teacher does not like. You can do that only when you can let go your likes and dislikes. This self-purification process, you get tuned up to a teacher. You imbibe from the teacher the qualities and values of the teacher. So by long serving, the disciple becomes like the teacher. By serving, he acquires the grace of the teacher. This grace is a very important thing. In pursuit of knowledge, they talk about 4 kinds of grace. Grace is called Kripa in Sanskrit. Ishvara Kripa, Guru Kripa, Shastra Kripa, Atma Kripa. Ishvara Kripa, grace of God, grace of Ishvara. So what happens when there is grace of Ishvara? Vivek Chudamani says, Lurlabam Tremevetat Devanugrahedukam Manushyattvam Mumukshyattvam Mahapurusha Samshaya. When you enjoy the grace of God, you get the human birth. Manushyattvam Mumukshyattvam, a desire to know. Mahapurusha Samshaya, an association with a teacher. This is grace of God. Secondly, then you should acquire Guru Kripa. You require grace of teacher. Then only knowledge can take place. So, Shvetashvata Upanishad says, Yasya deve parabhakti yatha deve tatha guru. One who has supreme devotion for God and equal devotion for the teacher, to that person, the words of scriptures become evident. The words reveal their meaning in the mind of a person like that. Therefore, Guru Kripa, the grace of the teacher, is very important. Then comes Shastra Kripa, then comes a Kripa, grace of the scripture. Then comes Atma Kripa, grace of one's own self. So Acharya Upasanam, serving the teacher, requires a spirit of surrender, requires humility. Serving at the level of thought, at the level of word, at the level of deed. But Swami, what should you do for the teacher? What the teacher requires? See, when you want to serve, then you really find out what to do. See, on this desk right now, you see several articles. There is a pot here. There is a glass of water. There is one throat lozenges, some piece of paper here. This piece of paper here. This glass is here. This clock here. And so on and so forth. How did it all come? It's all there before I come here. How does that happen? When somebody knows what the Swami requires. How do you know that? When you observe. On the first day, everything may not be there. And the flowers are also there because sometimes the Swami uses a flower also for making a point. Sometimes you use a pot to make a point. Some use a cloth to make a point. This requires devotion, care, love. Then you know what the person requires. So observing and meditating upon the person, Acharya Upasana, that's what a disciple does, and the one does whatever it is that the teacher requires. In so doing, he acquires the grace of the teacher. So the Upanishad says, in fact, Tasmat Atmajnam Sharchet Bhudikamaha. Even if a person who is desirous of material, worldly gain, he also should serve this Mahatma. By his grace, he can get the material gain also. But ideally, one should serve the Mahatma without any selfishness, without any desire. Then you get the knowledge of Brahma Vidya. So Acharya Upasanam, serving the teacher, is a very important. So teacher occupies a very important place in the Vedic culture. And that shows the value that the culture places for knowledge. Vedas means the body of knowledge. The word Veda is derived from the word Ved means to know. So Veda means the body of knowledge. Therefore, in the Vedic culture, knowledge has been the most important thing. And teacher becomes important because he is the one through whom you get the knowledge. There is one very famous couplet by a great saint. His name was Kabir. Many of you must have heard this couplet. This saint Kabir says, Guru Govind dono khade, kako lagu paye, balihari Guru aapaki, Govind diyo dikhaye. At one point in time, before the saint, these two entities present themselves. The Guru is there and Govind, the Lord, is there. So both of them are in front of me. Kako lagu paye. Who should I salute first? Should I first prostrate to Guru or should I first prostrate to Ishvara, Lord? I first prostrate to Guru because he showed me this Govinda. I recognize God only through the Guru, isn't it? So Guru is an important link between the disciple and Ishvara. Ultimately you have to know Ishvara, no doubt about that. But Guru is the link. And therefore Guru occupies the most important place in the life of a disciple. And that value that Guru has is expressed in terms of surrender and service to the teacher. Of course, before you surrender, you always check out, investigate. These days nobody will surrender. In the olden days they surrendered right away, which is not a very advisable thing. It's better that you check out. And these days they do check out. They observe the Swami, what he does, what he does not do, what he talks, what he eats, where he goes, everything they check out. And that is quite right also. So that you are sure that you are not surrendering to somebody who does not deserve. In this relationship, really, it looks like the disciple is the one who gives, but no, he is the one who gets. Because Guru has nothing to gain. An ideal Guru is the one who doesn't need anything. So, it is best that you offer service to somebody who has no need for that service. So the disciple offers service to the teacher who has no need for the service. In that case, there is no possibility of the disciple being exploited by the teacher. Otherwise it is possible that he will be exploited also. And so we have to be careful. But it is a matter of great fortune that there is a Guru in one's life. It's a matter of great fortune that there is a saintly person in your life towards whom you have the devotion, you have the trust, where there is in your heart a sense of surrender. Then you are the one who is the most fortunate, who is the one who gains the most. Acharyopasanam Shaucham. Next one. Shaucham is what? Cleanliness or purity. There is cleanliness and there is sanctity. There are two things. So recently a physician told me, there is this hand sanitizer. So now a physician, when a new patient comes, immediately that's what he has to do. So it does not pass on bacteria one to the other. So he says, Swami, this is our Gangajal. Gangajal means Ganges, water of Ganges. But no. The Ganges water not only cleans, but it sanctifies. This thing cleans, but Ganges sanctifies. So what is meant by Shaucham is not only cleanliness, but the sanctity of the mind. The purity of the mind. Not only cleanliness, but sanctity. They talk about two levels of Shaucham, two levels of cleanliness. Bahyam Shaucham and Antara Shaucham. External cleanliness and inner cleanliness. External cleanliness, we are all aware, very familiar of how things should be clean. Our body should be clean, our clothes should be clean, our surroundings should be clean. Understandable. In a civilized society, we accept that value. All the mothers have a lot of problem with their teenage children, that when you open that room, there is no space to walk there, no place, and so there is anything but cleanliness there. But generally speaking, all educated people and cultured people understand the value of outward external cleanliness. That should also include the cleanliness in what you eat, by the way. Sattvic food. Bhagavad Gita classifies food also as sattvic, rajas and tamas. Because they say you are what you eat. And therefore, our scriptures tell us that. To some extent, the cleanliness of the mind also is determined by the cleanliness of the food. Meaning that if it's sattvic food, then it has a positive sattvic effect on the mind. So external cleanliness should also include your choice of food. Food should be sattvic. But now we go to the internal cleanliness, antara shaucham. What is cleanliness of the mind? Cleanliness. What is impurity of the mind? We just talked about them. These impulses called lust, anger, greed, jealousy, resentment. Even self-condemnation, all these are impurities of the mind. Why are they called impurities? Because when these thoughts arise, the mind gets disturbed. Mind loses its peace. Mind becomes restless. Mind becomes unhappy. So when there is anger, when there is greed, there cannot be happiness. The person is unhappy. Therefore, a deliberate and conscious attempt to remove from our mind these negative tendencies. How do you do that? For cleaning our clothes, we have detergent. There is a detergent also for cleaning the cloth of the mind, fabric of the mind. Just as in our day-to-day activities, how we acquire some spots, on our clothes, and we need to clean them. Sometimes you're drinking tea and a drop falls on your shirt. Right away, you clean it up because you know that if you leave that spot there, afterwards it will be difficult to remove that. So best is, as a spot arises, you clean it right away with detergent. Similarly in mind also. These spots arise. Sometimes a little jealousy arises. Sometimes anger arises. Sometimes blaming arises. Sometimes self-blame arises. Self-condemnation arises. So when we find that this negative thought is arising in the mind, right away we should apply the detergent to remove that thought. What's a detergent? In Sanskrit, this detergent is called pratipaksha bhavana. We spoke about this earlier also. Pratipaksha bhavana. What is bhavana? Bhavana means an attitude. What kind of an attitude? Pratipaksha. Prati means opposite. Paksha means position. The attitude of deliberately assuming an opposite position. What does it mean? It means this. Suppose I am angry at a person. My anger arises towards a person because I have taken a certain position. What is the position? I look upon this person as a hurtful person, hurting person, as an aggressive person, as a bad person, suppose. the opposite position. I deliberately make my mind take the opposite position. One position is, I see the hurtful behavior of this person and get angry. But then I make my mind see, wait a minute, is this the whole person? Again, the two-step approach. One-step approach is to react to the behavior. The two-step approach is that if I get angry, maybe my anger is justified, but still, when I get angry, I hurt myself. See, anger is like fire. Fire first burns its own source. So when you strike a match to light up something, first the match is burned and then it may burn something else. So anger is fire. It first burns where it arises and then it will burn something else, if at all. So I have a value that if anger arises in me, even if it is justified, I am the one that is damaged. So these emotions or these impulses of anger or jealousy or hatred or resentment, they are hurting me. I am being damaged by them. Therefore, I do not want to entertain them. Even if there is justification, I do not want to entertain them. So if anger arises because of one side of the person, I deliberately make my mind see the other side of the person. I'm angry because this man is cruel, Swamiji. Okay, the person is cruel also, but there are occasions when the person is kind also. Maybe he is cruel to you, but he is kind to somebody else. He is not a cruel person totally. Towards his children he is loving, towards his spouse he is loving, towards his friend he is loving, towards himself he is loving at least. And thus, I make my mind deliberately see the loving person in that him, and then the impulse of anger gets diffused, you see. Jealousy arises. When am I jealous? When somebody gets ahead of me, then I become jealous. We are all colleagues working in one place. There is a team of 6 people. One person gets raise, other person, I do not get the raise, then I am jealous of that person. He got a job, I did not get the job, I am jealous. He scored higher rank than I did, jealous. Our Swami says jealousy is a very funny feeling. I am jealous because of somebody else going ahead. Now why should that be? But that's how it is. Why do we get jealous? You got promotion, why should I get jealous? Because when you get promotion, meaning that when you get ahead of me, somehow it makes me aware of my own deficiency or my own shortcoming. And therefore, I am really unhappy with my own self. And the unhappiness of myself expresses as jealousy towards you. So, jealousy is because I cannot stand somebody else's progress. What is the pratipakshapana? What is opposite position? Congratulate that person. Imagine that you are in the position of that person. How would you feel if you got what that person got? You feel happy? Share in the happiness. See, Yoga Shastra says very well. See, we are not jealous of somebody who is close to us. When my son gets gold medal, let us say, because his performance, academic performance, was excellent, he got gold medal. Do I feel jealous of my son? I am happy because my son got gold medal, I am proud. Similarly, my friend whom I love, if he strikes some deal in the business and because he becomes prosperous, I don't feel jealous of my friend because I love him. I feel happy. I share in his happiness. Is it not so? It's not that we are always jealous of everybody. We are not jealous of those whom we love. We share in their happiness. Is it not so? That's all. So when I am jealous of somebody, what should I do? Establish a relationship of, so he's my friend. He's my son. He's my father. He's my friend. Mitrata. Maitri. My friend is happy, I'm happy. So I look upon this person as my friend. I congratulate him, look upon him as my friend and share in his happiness. I tell myself, how would I feel I was in that position? I would be happy. Be happy. So thus, the impulse of jealousy can be neutralized by this deliberate attempt of sharing the happiness of that person or congratulating that person. So thus, for every negative impulse that arises in me, there is a negative position. I analyze that position and deliberately take the positive position. Then that negative impulse becomes neutralized. This is a process of inner cleaning, understand? And we should be constantly doing this. Not only when you are meditating, constantly. Meaning that we should be alert, awareful of the thoughts or the emotions arising in our mind, and whenever we find a negative emotion or impulse such as anger, such as greed, such as jealousy, such as hatred, such as self-condemnation, that also is a very bad thing. To condemn oneself also is, to blame oneself or to condemn oneself also is a very negative thing. And we do that. Very often we blame ourselves. Very often we dislike ourselves. Very often we even condemn ourselves. There is also a negative feeling. There is also a hurtful feeling. So when self-condemnation arises, what do I do? When do I condemn myself? I condemn myself because, in my opinion, I did something wrong. I have expectation of myself. I should be an honest person. I should be a truthful person. I should be a good person. This is what I expect of myself. So whenever I deviate from that, meaning that whenever I find myself telling a lie, doing something wrong, then I feel guilty within myself and I dislike myself, I condemn myself. That self-condemnation, when builds up, it is very negative. It saps our energy, saps our enthusiasm. Therefore, self-blaming or self-condemnation also is not desirable at all. What do I do? Self-condemnation? Well, be kind to yourself. Just as I should be kind or accommodate to other persons, may I be kind to myself also. May I recognize that I am also a limited person. It is human to err, as they say. And therefore, yes, I am also a human being. I am also a limited person. And therefore, it is likely that I may commit a mistake. I may perhaps do something which is not right. Be not permissive, but be kind to yourself with a commitment to change. I have a commitment to change, a commitment to improve, but certainly not by blaming or condemning myself. So one should constantly try to stay away from self-condemnation, self-blaming or self-condemnation by being kind or accommodative to one's own self. Okay, we'll stop here tonight. We'll continue tomorrow. Om Purnamada पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः हरि ओम्।